practice problems, numbers 4 through 6, in your notebook, and then check back in with the video and we'll work through each of them together. So let's see how you did with number 4. So again, I'm going to solve these each separately. So I'll start over here, so I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So I have negative 2x is greater than negative 4. So then I divide both sides by negative 2. Then I have x, and then I flip my inequality symbol, so x is less than 2. So this is my solution for this inequality. And then let's go over here. I add 4 to both sides. So I have 3x is greater than or equal to 9. Divide both sides by 3. So I have x is greater than or equal to 3. So these are my two solutions. When I graph them on a number line, they're going to look like this. So I have 2, and then I have 3. So at x is less than 2, I'm going to use an open circle, and then less than 2. At x is greater than or equal to 3, I'm going to use a closed circle, and then greater than or equal to 3. So my graph should look something like that. And then when I use set notation, it's going to be x such that x is less than 2 or x is greater than or equal to 3. When I write it using interval notation, I'm just going to write interval notation for this inequality and then also for this inequality. So x is less than 2, I know I'm going to go from negative infinity, well that looks funny, negative infinity all the way up to 2. Anytime I use negative infinity or positive infinity, I use parentheses. And then here at 2, I'm going to use parentheses because when I look over here, this inequality symbol is just less than. And then when I write the interval notation for this inequality, I know I'm going to go from 3 all the way up to infinity. Infinity gets a parentheses, and since I see this inequality symbol with the 3, it's going to get a bracket. So let's see how you did with number 5. So first I'm going to solve this one. Add 1 to both sides, so 6c is less than 12. Divide both sides by 6, so I get c is less than 2. Bring down my or, and then let me change colors. Nope, didn't work. And then I'm going to subtract 4 here from both sides. So I have 3c is greater than or equal to 9. Divide both sides by 3, so I get c is greater than or equal to 3. So these are my two inequalities. So when I graph them, I have 2 and then I have 3. So I have an open circle at 2, and c is less than 2, so that my arrow goes that way. And then c is greater than or equal to 3, so I have a closed parentheses, a closed circle, greater than or equal to 3. And then when I write it using set notation, I have c such that c is less than 2 or c is greater than or equal to 3. And then when I write interval notation, again, I'm just going to write it separately for each of these inequalities. So then I'm going to have, for c is less than 2, I know I can go from negative infinity all the way up to 2. And then I'm going to use parentheses and also a parentheses because of this circle. And then for c is greater than or equal to 3, I know I'm going to go from 3 all the way up to infinity. Infinities get parentheses, and then this gets a bracket because of this inequality symbol. So let's see how you did on the last one. Let's solve this one first. So subtract 2 from both sides. So I get 4m is less than 8, divide by 4. So I have m is less than 2, bring down my or. And then let's solve this side. So I add 2 to both sides. Negative 2m is less than or equal to negative 8. Divide both sides by negative 2. So I have m, and then this flips is greater than or equal to 4. And then when I graph my solutions, I have 2 and then I have 4. So I have an open circle at 2, less than 2, so m is less than 2. I have a closed circle at 4 because of this inequality symbol, so m is greater than or equal to 4. So our graph looks like that. And then when I write it using set notation, I have m such that m is less than 2 or m is greater than or equal to 4. And then when I'm using interval notation, write them separately. So then for m is less than 2, I know I can go from negative infinity all the way up to 2. With infinities, I use parentheses, and since this is an open circle, I'll also use parentheses again. And then let's write interval notation for m is greater than or equal to 4. So I know I can go from 4 all the way up to infinity. Infinities get parentheses, and since I'm using greater than or equal to, it will get a bracket. So the final thing I want you to do is the following exit ticket. The problem is down here, but you need to solve it, graph it, write the solution in set notation, and also write the solution in interval notation. So do this on a separate sheet of paper. Turn it into me when you are finished.